Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third virtual installment of our Icons in Business series here in 2020. My name is John Konarski, publisher of In Business magazine, and normally, of course, we'd be meeting you in person for this event series, but like many of you in your businesses, we've had to adapt here during this crazy year and bring you this Icons event in a virtual environment. But we're thrilled to at least have the ability to provide some sense of normalcy in a very abnormal year. This quarterly series was formed to showcase local iconic companies, organizations, and the people influencing the business landscape. We've always had our speakers share with us the valuable lessons they've learned, as well as the current challenges and opportunities they're facing leading these iconic brands and companies. And this morning, we get the privilege of bringing you someone that has been a true icon in this greater Madison business community for over 25 years now, and someone that has arguably done as much, if not more, than any other individual to promote this region over that time and to really put Madison, Wisconsin on the national and global map. This individual, of course, is Deb Archer, CEO of Destination Madison and the Madison-area Sports Commission. And we're thrilled that she accepted our invitation to speak here today before she puts the word former in front of that title, as she walks off into the sunset at the end of next month after an amazing career. We thought that this would be a great opportunity for her to reflect back on her career, but also for her to talk about the challenges that have certainly arisen here in 2020 during this pandemic, and where she sees the local tourism industry going in 2021 and beyond after she departs. We're going to turn things over to Deb here in just a few minutes, as I know she's got plenty to share with us here this morning. But before we do, I'd like to thank our sponsors of this year's Icon series that make this all possible here today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Rothwell, and I am the Vice President of Marketing at WPS Health Solutions. WPS is proud to be sponsoring today's Icons in Business presentation. Today, we'll hear from Deb Archer, the President and CEO of Destination Madison. Destination Madison is dedicated to helping build our economy through tourism. That's a pretty challenging task with the COVID-19 hurting both. I can't wait to hear how Destination Madison is meeting the challenge. At WPS, our business is health benefits management and health insurance. So we've also had to be agile to cope with the pandemic. Our biggest contracts are with the government. We manage the healthcare benefits of millions of beneficiaries on Medicare. We do the same for active duty military, veterans, and their families. Shutting down until this passes is not an option. A good number of our employees were already working remote when the pandemic started. Before the government began issuing orders, we got our teams the technology and training they needed. We were able to get more than 90% working remotely in less than 2 weeks, with no loss of productivity or quality. And knock on wood, we haven't lost a single job yet due to the pandemic. We all know the emotional toll that the pandemic has taken, and we have to make sure we are considerate with our employees. So, we have allowed some flexibility with work schedules to accommodate their new realities and commitments. We've also increased our communication to make sure the members of our team stay engaged and connected. An example is our president, Mike Hammerlich, has written weekly messages sharing his personal experiences with our entire team, and they are fun to listen to. We have also asked our employees to share their own experiences, running them regularly on our internet page. And we are going to adopt the social media tool Yammer to help strengthen the bonds among us all. We want to make sure everyone at WPS Health Solutions knows that they're in this together and they're not alone. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar and can't wait until we get to do these meetings in person again. If you'd like to hear more about WPS or our COVID response, please shoot me an email at mark.rothwell@wpsic.com. Thank you for your attention. Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Mark, and to the WPS Health Solutions team. I'd also like to acknowledge our premier sponsors of this year's Icons event series. Our first premier sponsor is Action Coach. If you're a business owner or leader who needs to change your business model right now to survive and flourish long term and wants a fast plan to see the path forward with the economic opportunities, then Action Coach of Wisconsin can work with you to get clear, get out of overwhelm, and back to business. Our second premier sponsor is Baker Tilly, a leading advisory, tax, and assurance firm dedicated to building long-lasting relationships and helping you win now and anticipate tomorrow. And last but not least, our third premier sponsor is the Madison Concourse Hotel. This is Madison's premier hotel located in the heart of downtown, and we do hope to be back doing these Icons events in their facility in the very near future. But a very special thank you to all of our sponsors for their flexibility this year as we've had to adapt to this virtual environment. Thank you so much. All right, well, it's time to start our program here today and introduce our speaker. And of course, our speaker is none other than Deb Archer, again, CEO of Destination Madison and the Madison-area Sports Commission. Under her leadership, Destination Madison has been recognized as Wisconsin's most helpful Convention and Visitors Bureau. The Madison-area Sports Commission was named National Sports Commission of the Year, and the organizations together have been recognized with statewide Trailblazer Awards for innovative marketing initiatives. Other highlights of Archer's tenure have included luring and securing long-term contracts with Ironman and CrossFit to Madison, the staging of the highly successful Bucky on Parade, and hosting events including the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the World Stem Cell Summit, and Congress for the New Urbanism. Destination Madison and Madison-area Sports Commission has been recognized twice by Downtown Madison, Inc. with their Community Asset Award. Deb is the former chair of Destinations International's Foundation and served on the association's board of directors, and she is also the former chair and continues to serve on the Wisconsin Governor's Council on Tourism and the Wisconsin Association of CVB's board. Before coming to Madison, Archer was with the Kansas City Convention and Visitors Bureau and executive director of the Park City, Utah Convention and Visitors Bureau and Chamber of Commerce. She is a graduate of Michigan State University's School of Hospitality and Tourism, and it's only fitting that this year she was awarded the Governor's Tourism Legacy Award, which is given out annually. I'm exhausted just reading all of these things, but I think this gives you a glimpse of just how much she's accomplished throughout her career and the impact that she's had over 25 years in this community. And again, we're just thrilled to have her speaking with us here today. Before we turn things over to Deb, I do want to mention, if you have questions during the program here today, we encourage you to submit those in the chat box on your screen. We'll be moderating them for a live Q&A with Deb following her presentation. So leave your questions there, and we'll get to those at the end of the program here this morning. With that said, it is my privilege to now turn things over to our speaker here this morning, Deb Archer.
Thanks so much. I want to thank In Business for asking me to be able to take some time to share some reflections and ideas relating to my work at Destination Madison, formerly the Convention and Visitors Bureau, for the past 25 years, and the passion I have for the visitor industry and the tourism economy. Before sharing details about my tenure with Destination Madison, I really wanted to share a few personal things about myself and my journey to Madison and our work. So I grew up about 20 miles south of the Wisconsin border in Libertyville, Illinois, but I was not really a Midwesterner like all my friends. My father was from New York City. My mother was from Southern California. They met during the war. My brother and sister were born in New York. I was born in Illinois shortly after my dad was transferred to the Chicago area with American Express. My family literally spent no time in Wisconsin when I was growing up. We went to Milwaukee a couple of times to have brunch at the Pfister. We took a few ski lessons at Wilmot. But for living so close to Madison, Wisconsin, the only thing I knew about Wisconsin growing up was that the drinking age was 18 when I was in high school. But I'm not going to go into that for anyone. My friends would talk about taking vacations to the Dells or snowmobiling in Eagle River. Well, I heard that, we were piling into a car to drive to Long Island or California to visit family. I went off to college in Ohio and then Michigan, and then lived in Park City, Utah, and Kansas City. I suddenly found myself in the mid-'80s, a single mom, falling in love with a man from Madison. He won the tug of war on whom would move. And when I announced to my family I was moving to Madison, it actually was kind of a joke because they said, okay, you're moving all the way back here to a place we know nothing about. But everyone was very excited about the next chapter in my life. So I've been here 26, almost 27 years, and I can't tell you what a fabulous discovery Madison was. Raised my daughter here. It's been an incredible place, and I've had an incredible career journey while I've been here. My journey into the industry is sort of the same. It was very circuitous. I went to college. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was always sort of eclectic, world history, American history, languages. I had a dream of being an interpreter at the UN. I think I let boyfriends get in the way of that dream. But I stumbled across the hospitality and tourism program at Michigan State, and it really was an instant fit for me. I moved to Utah after college and started in the hotel industry out there in Salt Lake and Park City, and then moved into the destination management or convention and visitors bureau industry, which most people are more familiar with. This is incredibly rewarding work, but honestly, the work of organizations like ours are typically really misunderstood. They either run under people's radar screen or they don't understand the complexity of what it is to be responsible, really, for creating a destination, transforming a destination, providing information about a destination, and painting pictures for visitors and organizations. You know, I think most of us that come to work in these organizations, a common question we get from people that know us is, so what type of events do you plan? Or are your offices at Monona Terrace? The truth of the matter is the work of our organization has much less to do with planning events, except our own organizational events or site visits for clients or travel writers. It really has everything to do with shaping experiences visitors are going to have and placemaking. How do we create a place that people want to come and visit? Of course, we do presentations and we're promoting the assets of the destination to potential organizers, to travel writers, etc. They're the ones that do the planning, but we work with them every step of the way once they begin their journey of considering or selecting Madison as a place for their event or something to write about. When I was recruited here in 1994 to build a convention and event sales program, the organization and my predecessor, Bill Geist, played a huge role in early placemaking by helping pass the referendum to build Monona Terrace. I was recruited before the construction began and the exhibition hall at the Alliant Energy Center was under construction. At the time, though, what this organization really did, which a lot of people don't know, is we started and ran the Taste of Madison for years, and we launched the Madison Marathon. The Madison Marathon almost bankrupted the organization, but we knew it was the right idea, and it was another great way to bring people to our community. At the time, we were also fortunate to having WIAA events here annually and World Dairy. And at the time, we were also hosting Goldwing Road Riders every couple of years, and we had the Drum Corps International World Championships before they moved to Indianapolis. We had to pivot, honestly, completely as it got closer to the opening of Monona Terrace, so we could truly focus on attracting conventions and conferences. There are a couple of stories that I'd like to share with everyone. They may be before some of your time, but I think you'll appreciate them, and they sort of put into context the work that this organization does. In 1996, before Monona Terrace or the Kohl Center or Overture Center were open, we were notified that Money Magazine may be naming Madison as the best place to live in America. At the time, this was 1996, this was the ranking that cities wanted. There weren't dozens of rankings as there are now, and we were on the cusp of being number one. So when we were notified that we were maybe going to be number one, the chamber executive, former chamber executive, and I discussed, how we should entertain the editor when the editor comes to town, and we agreed that I would do that. Our organization does this all the time. And so I planned for the editor's visit. The downside was it was April, the weather was lousy when she came, and I have to, any of you that lived here in 1996, if you can go back then, honestly, our downtown was not nearly what it is today. There were literally empty storefronts, And the only restaurants really on the square were L'Etoile and Blue Marlin, or you could go to the Edgewater and have a nice meal or the top of the park. But it was not the city it is now. The editor was staying at the concourse, and I had to think about how would I walk her around our downtown and have her focus on the Capitol and not the empty storefronts. We ended up having a great visit. It went really well. She was delightful. She fell in love with Madison, and we were really in a great place until they called us 2 weeks later and said they were sending a photography crew for the weekend, and they did not want us to accompany the photography crew. So we got the crew settled at the Edgewater, and it was a beautiful weekend. The Sunday morning of that weekend, the chamber executive called me about 6 in the morning and told me to turn on the radio. And what did I hear? The Mifflin Street Block Party, which is, has been a beloved event, it was completely out of control. There were fires, police cars overturned. It was awful. And all I realized was that those photographers were at the Edgewater. So I called right away to try to distract them. But you know what? Fate was on our side. They had checked out, and they missed all of that because that probably would have ruined our opportunity. But we were named #1 place to live in America. And as I said at the time, that ranking was absolutely at the top, was the top prize for all cities. So at the time, between that ranking and the fact Monona Terrace was almost open, the Kohl Center had been approved and under construction, and the discussion of the Overture Center was underway. So we were really moving into a great position to be a unique and fresh place for conventions and conferences and for visitors. If you fast forward a few years, 2001, I have a leadership conversation to share with you. One of the things I've done over time with my team is have trust and to recognize that I don't know what I don't know. And in 2001, our director of sales approached me and said she read in a running magazine that Ironman North America was looking for a new home. There was a race in Lake Placid. There was a race in Florida. There was a race in Camp Pendleton, California, and one in British Columbia. But those were the only Ironman races in North America. She pestered this Graham Fraser, who used to run the franchise, over and over again, and he finally relinquished and said, I'll come to Madison. I'm on my way to Austin where we're ready to sign a contract. He came here in February, and I will tell you, it was magic. He had a tremendous time. They went running. We took him to a UW basketball game. The mayor met with him. But really, the magic came to be when he walked on the roof of Monona Terrace in February, but he saw the lake, he saw the helixes, he saw the Capitol as a backdrop. He saw immediately how he was going to stage that event. And if everybody recognizes that, the first race was in 2002. Our 20th anniversary will be in 2022 with Ironman, and that has made such a difference in our community. Again, I didn't know what I didn't know. It didn't matter that I didn't know what Ironman was. I trusted Tony's instincts, and I trusted the idea that it was a risk. And we set sort of benchmarks along the way so we could get out of it if we had to. But the reward's been incredible. I had a similar story when Mark Clear, who a lot of you know, walked in my office in 1995 and started talking to me about building a website and getting us a URL. I had no idea what he was talking about, but I knew he was smart and his partner was smart. And they built us, we were one of the first destination management organizations in the country to have a website in 1995. Honestly, it was unheard of. Fast forward, and like the Ironman story, another great example of letting a staff member run with something that I didn't know anything about was when Jamie Patrick, the vice president of our sports commission, walked in and told me he wanted to bid on and bring a regional CrossFit event here. I had no idea what CrossFit was. He talked to me a little bit about it, but I trusted his instincts, sent him to California with another team member, and lo and behold, they picked us for the international event, and he forged an amazing relationship with them. They trust us, and it's been a fabulous, fabulous relationship. There are a lot of other success stories, whether it's U.S. Conference of Mayors, men's basketball tournament, bringing events here. But some of the other work we've done over time is the placemaking work. It's the work in supporting projects like the Edgewater Hotel, which actually had some, was difficult for us because some other hotels weren't happy about it, but we knew what the Edgewater would do for reviving that part of the lakefront and reviving a landmark in our community. We've worked on launching the Sports Commission as another aspect of our work, and we worked on securing new routes for our airport. All of these things were assets that we knew would help us as we were building the brand and building the destination. One of the most challenging events that occurred to me during my tenure here was the fight to keep the WYA boys basketball tournament here. It was an incredibly complex and competitive situation. We were going to lose dates at the Kohl Center because of the new UW and Big Ten hockey conference, but this whole episode was the one where it took a village. A lot of the events take a village. This took a village. We needed the city support. We needed parking. We needed UW. We needed the voices from the businesses who would say, this event has been here for decades. We cannot lose it. It's vital to our economy, but it's vital to the residents. And we fought, and with the help and support of former Chancellor David Ward, who worked very closely with Barry Alvarez to reverse the plans to make the Kohl Center available every March. That came together and we prevailed. But it was probably the most challenging and the most emotionally difficult time for us because it went on for a long time and it was such a public fight to keep the event here. I would say the other thing that I've done over the years as a leader is trust my instincts. And the trusting of my instincts paid off in spades in 2018. Our staging of Bucky on Parade was really a dream that I had thought about for about 15 years. The idea came to us from a colleague who ran the Iowa City Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they had staged a very successful event called Herky on Parade. For whatever reason, we could not get it off the ground, but I always had the sense that if the stars would align, we could make this happen. The loyalty between Bucky Badger, the love for that, and the alums, and the love for this community, I just believed we could do it. And in 2017, when we resurrected the idea, Chancellor Blank embraced the idea right away. And we had a team led by Badger alum Kate Dale, an incredible board, amazing local corporations. Obviously, UW, Madison College jumped on board. It was a risky proposition because it was expensive, it was complex. Honestly, once we got into it, it was a lot more work than we ever knew it would be. And we had drop-dead decision-making thresholds in case we just got over our skis and couldn't do it successfully. But every threshold we had, we exceeded. And eventually, as many of you I hope know, it was an incredible success. It was a success for charity. We netted over $1 million for charity. It was also a success for thousands of people, kids with grandparents, adults, former alums, who came to town to find the 85 Buckies for months on end. And it was a complete joy looking at our offices downtown and all around the county. We would watch people come and explore parts of our area they had never seen before because they wanted to see Bucky. It was also a bit of a departure for us by creating an event that wasn't just visitor focused. It was focused for our community. It was focused on our community. It was enjoyed and embraced by our community, which Ironman and CrossFit have been too. And over time, we have learned that our work, it's not just about visitors. It's about making this place a great place to live, work, and visit. And when you think about what visitors do, and I'm going to talk in a minute about the pandemic, visitors make the difference in making a community come alive. We spend a lot of time, as I mentioned, in this sort of placemaking product development space, and other conversations we have been engaged in and are engaged in are things like the reimagining of the Alliant Energy Center campus and the Nolan waterfront. We have some incredible opportunities in our community that a lot of cities our size would not have so close to the center and the heartbeat of our community. To have our lakes right here, to have the Alliant Energy Center campus so close and everything around it. What can happen if our community, once we recover, can invest in these things? Our community, it will be difficult for any community to ever surpass, but it takes vision, and it takes looking at the long horizon, and it takes people that are really forward thinking. And destination management organizations, I often say the biggest thing we always have to do is anticipate. We have to anticipate what's next, what can be, and where can we go from here. Well, let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. If we're talking about looking forward, we have to look at right now. I'm going to show you some slides of some data that is really, it's painful because no industry has been harder than the travel industry in the pandemic. Thousands of people out of work. This is an industry that, as a former City of Madison Economic Development Director used to say, visitors import cash, our industry imports cash, and none of that, very little of that is coming into our market, into the hands of workers who then spend it themselves. And so the lack of our industry is really one of the real tragedies and really difficulties that we're experiencing here as a community. The last thing I'd like to say about our industry before I show our slides is that our industry employs people of all skill levels, all education levels. It provides incredible opportunities for growth and advancement for people of color, people with disabilities, people who are creative, people who are innovative, people who want to be in business for themselves. Tourism and the visitor industry, the hospitality industry, it's truly an industry that welcomes everyone. And as I said before, the world and our nation is really learning from the pandemic. The visitor economy is what's needed for our economy to recover. So let's go into these slides a little bit, and I will share a little bit of this information. The first information I want to share with you is about traveler spending, and this begins right before the pandemic, these numbers, February 1st, and goes through, really gets to October. So you'll see the incredible dip the end of March into April, a slow climb, and a recent decline with the surges that are happening around the country, so that we're continuing to see a slight rebound, but also reactions to how the virus is affecting our country. And these are U.S. numbers. The next one is an interesting number. This is TSA. People are not flying. This begins in March. We show again a huge trough and a slight uptick. And again, we're seeing reactions as time goes on with the virus through September and into October. The next number, this is about travel performance. So this is our people traveling, first auto trips, hotel demand, and air passengers. So you can see that the people that are traveling, while the number is down significantly, the climb starts to come particularly with people taking driving trips. People are taking driving trips, a lot of RVs, some staying with family and friends, because hotel room demand is not the same as auto trips, but auto trips right now, and Wisconsin, we're in a great position because of drive traffic, because of our location amongst so many millions of people in the upper Midwest. Traveler confidence. So we talk a lot about consumer confidence and where are we going with consumer confidence. This is what will bring people back, is when we all feel safe to travel. So we hit a high, about 50% of the population, the end of August, early September, were feeling confident about traveling. That number has slowly dipped, and we imagine that it will stay there. It will plateau for a while as everybody really works with the information about the surge that we have. Upcoming traveler plans, here we go. In terms of the gray line are people that have changed their destination from one they could drive to fly to. And so we'll see that has, obviously, driving has trumped things. And then the bottom is changing trips from international to domestic. Here's where we talk about employment for our industry. So if you look at this graph, from the far left, from 2010 to 2020, leisure and hospitality sector has led job growth in our country. That has to do with restaurants opening, hotels opening. We have absolutely been the leader in job growth in our economy for the last 10 years. 27% growth in our industry in the last 10 years. Here's the tragedy that we see in our industry. So of all the industries jobs lost around the country, 23% of those have been in hospitality compared to other sectors. And the next slide, this is what's really hard, is that in our industry, nearly 40% of people in our industry have lost their jobs. Nearly 40%. Millions of people in the United States have lost their jobs from February to September that are in our industry. This shows a hotel peak demand, and it compares things to the global financial crisis. So that has the gray line at the top. So you can see it compares it to 2 years after the global financial crisis, where it was a slow trough, when it was a slow climb, but the trough, look at the trough we're dealing with now. It's tremendous. And we don't anticipate that the hotel industry will get back to 2019 levels until 2023 or 2024. It will take that long to renew consumer confidence and get people back traveling to the levels that they were in 2019. This slide, I realize this is a little difficult to read. It talks about rebounding and returning to normal. I'm going to skip it because I think it's very difficult to read. But there are 3 phases we're seeing, and the final phase we're saying again, the target is 2023 or 2024. This information, shows some local data that we think is important for people to see. It has national, state, and local hotel occupancy data. The turquoise line tracks 2019, and the green lines track 2020. And we have a tale of 2 cities. It's really urban areas and urban core that have been hit the hardest in our industry. If you look at the Madison downtown, the 4th line down, Madison downtown, hotel occupancy in 2019 exceeded the national average for hotel occupancy. But if you look at what's happened in 2019, we far are behind the national average. Downtowns have been the hardest hit in terms of overnight visitation. And this slide's a little complicated, but I wanted to share this other data in terms of local information. So this has national, state, and local percentage changes for hotel occupancy, hotel average daily rate, RevPAR, which is a lodging term for revenue per available room, and rooms available. And the number I wanted to have you focus on was in the Madison column, Madison downtown, the percentage of rooms that have been closed or out of service since the pandemic hurt. We have not been in this position we've never been in this position to have this large a percentage of rooms compared to nationally or the state or Milwaukee in our downtown. I will tell you that there are destinations in Wisconsin that really, thankfully, had very strong summers. Places up north, Door County, they did well. Outdoor recreation, people could be outside. Those parts of our state did well. But our cities are really suffering. Milwaukee is in the same predicament that we are. In terms of just finite information from Madison, we've tracked nearly 100 conventions or sporting events that we contract with. This doesn't include World Dairy, it doesn't include UW football, but the events that we track, we've lost $60 million. You can see how many room nights, 115,000 room nights and 165,000 visitors that would have normally come to town this year and into early next year because we've had cancellations into April of next year. We're missing these people and we're missing the dollars, and the people who work in our industry are missing all of the economic benefit of the visitors coming to town. So I think a question we get is, what are we doing in the destination management arena during the pandemic? And so I wanted to share a few things with you about what we've been up to. First of all, we had to right-size our organization and positions. We cut about a third of our staff right away in March and April. We had to. Our revenues, we depend on the hotel room tax collections for our revenues, and obviously those have been decimated for the year. So we had to make some changes. Then we immediately got to work with the Safer at Home. You can see our Stay Home Love Madison logo sort of ghosted in the background. We moved right away to encourage people to stay home because we know that if we can stem the virus, we can get back to work. We've created virtual experiences so people all summer could get out. We pushed it out heavily on social media with great results of getting people to explore our city and get outside. It's primarily geared at residents, but we know visitors came and enjoyed it too. We created virtual client experiences so we could keep our sports clients and convention clients engaged, and we did the same thing with travel writers. We recently launched a Mascot Madison piece because we know that convincing people, not convincing, but assuring people that when they come here it's safe, that we want to make sure people know outside this market that we are masked up in this community and we respect that and know that it's important. We've been spending time trying to engage with public health so we can talk about when is the right time to start talking about changing restrictions. And through all of this, we've done enormous collaborations with the Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Madison, Inc., the Business Improvement District, area communities, and obviously the public and the private sector. So what are our challenges and opportunities for recovery? Well, the one thing we've been advocating for and will continue to throughout the pandemic is making sure we can really get people to rally to support local businesses in whatever way people are able to do that. Carry out, frequenting a business if you feel comfortable, ordering things. We need to keep our local businesses. Our local businesses are what create the personality for this place, and we want to make sure we can do everything we can to drive business for local businesses. The next thing I've mentioned a couple of times is inspiring consumer confidence. We need to let people know that our city is safe. We need to keep engaging residents and regional markets so that when people are ready to travel, they know that this is a place to come to. I talked about public health and working with our industry about that. One of the really important next things we're going to do is working with the federal administration. The first CARES Act was very helpful. We have got to help Congress pass the next relief package. It will help workers, it will help businesses, it will help not-for-profits. That is so critical, and we will be asking for help from everyone in our community to do that. And one of the other things we're working right now is what we're calling reputation management. And that's really the conversation about what are there negative stories out there about Madison, about it being closed, about nothing happening here. We have to manage that. And so we're working with all of the best and the brightest communications people in our community so we can align our messages that this is a great place and that we continue to push positive messages out about our community. Some of the things that I mentioned these earlier that I hope everyone listening thinks about the future of this place, because the future is bright. We have tremendous opportunities for creating experiences for visitors when visitors are ready to come back. Talking about the investment in the Nolan waterfront, our lakes are so important. We do not celebrate our lakes the way we can, and we need to. Great work has been done by Clean Lakes Alliance and the county and others to start to clean up our lakes. Now we need to create places where people can enjoy our lakes. The Alliant Energy Center, 164-acre campus, about a mile from our downtown, with many opportunities for that campus, public and private development, expansions, to make it an incredibly even bigger economic driver than it is, and everything around it we're calling the Destination District. We can help lift South Madison and create more economic opportunities for everyone in the community by looking at what sort of opportunities are in that part of our community. The last thing I'll end with is our strategic vision and our view of what we can do for this place and where this place can go. We had a very in-depth, successful, exciting strategic planning session in 2019, and we landed on 4 pillars: that we would have innovative sales and marketing, we would do the authentic placemaking, we would engage in our community very intentionally, and we would make sure we could sustain ourselves in an organization. And then with doing those things, our vision for Madison is that Madison will be a place for all. And we know that there are people who don't feel like Madison is a place for them. That is a vision. That's what we're aspiring to and doing all we can to get there. And the way we can do that is to inspire a love for Madison by creating a place that is a place for all. Before I sign off, I want to share a few just leadership lessons that I hope are helpful to some of you. The first thing I've learned over time is you always want to hire A players. A players are people that show up no matter what, and they're smart. They're many times smarter than you are, and they fill in the gaps that you're missing. Another thing is, don't ever ask someone to do something that you're not willing to do. I think it's really important as leaders that we're willing to go in the trenches wherever we send anyone else. Another thing is listen to others. Trust them. None of us know it all. Other people have great ideas. Let people run with their ideas. If they're risky and you need to set, sort of out thresholds so you can pull out if needed, do that. But try it. Take some risks. The other thing, don't take yourself too seriously. And that really leads me to the last thing I wanted to share. And it's I'm stealing it from a women's soccer phenom. All of you have heard of Abby Wambach. I heard her speak at a convention a couple of years ago after she retired. And she said that when she was leaving the sport, Gatorade had one commercial left for her, and they presented her with the message for the commercial. And the message was, "Forget me." And she said it was perfect. And that's the way I believe this for me too. I think it should be for me and others that have been successful for a while and are stepping aside. My time with Destination Madison will soon be over. And while I don't want to be forgotten, it's really okay, because if I'm forgotten in a year or two, it means that the person that's coming in after me and the team here continues as being successful, and they're helping Madison move forward. They're going to have to get through this pandemic and into the future. So you can forget me. The one thing I would ask you not to forget is don't forget our industry. When visitors come back to this community, this is when Madison will rise again. Visitors will put money in people's workers' pockets. It will bring businesses back. It will make our city come alive again. So again, you can forget me, but don't forget how important this industry and how important visitors are to all of us, the people who live here. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Deb, for sharing all of that with us here today. Again, an amazing career, and we're so happy we could provide this opportunity for you to speak to the Madison community before you head off into retirement at the end of this year. We're now going to go live with Deb here today. As I promised earlier, she'll be taking some of your questions that many of you submitted during the program today. So let me welcome back Deb Archer for the live Q&A.
Okay, audience, just as a reminder, you can submit your question by typing it into the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Once you've typed it in, you can press enter. So the first question that we have for you, Deb, what lessons or advice unique to the local tourism and events industry in Greater Madison would you like to pass on to your successor at Destination Madison?
I've given a lot of thought about writing a letter to the next CEO of Destination Madison. Some of the things that I think are really important are to keep that long-term vision. I think that that's one of the most important roles that this organization plays is, again, what can we be next? And there are so many opportunities here that what we term as product development or keeping in the placemaking piece, keep that in the forefront of all of your work, because that is that's where our opportunities really lie, is with that product development. The other thing is they are going to be walking into an incredible team here, super smart team and super smart partners, and they're going to have a wealth of knowledge and capabilities, and just track with them, because, and the boards we have, if they can steep themselves in the people that are here, they're going to have great success despite the pandemic. We will recover from this, but we also know there will be painful losses. And I think my successor also hopefully will come with lots of ideas about where can we fill in the blanks for some of the losses that we've had. some of the types of businesses. Can we have pop-up businesses? We don't want to see anyone not survive, but we know some businesses will. And I trust and have confidence that my successor will bring some really fresh ideas for our future.
Okay, the next question that we have for you is, what dream events would you love to see come to Madison, which it has so far been unable to snag?
Well, there are a handful. There are some national ag events. There are national sports competitions. Some of the things that have deterred us from being able to do that is, unlike cities that have large convention hotels near facilities, we have great hotels, but they're smaller. And as we have grown and filled in with some hotels and we see some more, hopefully on the horizon, we will be able to pursue some of those events. I hesitate to say what some of them are because you might pass it on to our competition, but there are certainly events that we would love to have here. And our team has top prospects that they keep on their radar screen all the time. And they're just waiting in the wings for the opportunity.
Why did you change your name from Greater Madison Convention and Visitor Bureau to Destination Madison?
That's a really, really great question. I mentioned in my taped remarks that what we do is not just about visitors. It's about the community and it's about this place. And really the most important thing we can do is focus on how do we continue to make this a great place. And so calling ourselves Greater Madison Convention and Visitors Bureau sort of put us in a box that's the only work that we do. And that's not the box we're in. Our box is huge. And Destination Madison opens up lots of opportunities for us and the work ahead, not just what we've done, but where we can go in the future.
And what can residents do to support the tourism industry?
We love this question. There are there are things that are now you can help. We mentioned them earlier. For those of you that can afford to and are comfortable, make sure you're supporting our businesses now. Carry out, take out, if you're comfortable dining in a restaurant, get into retail establishments. If you want a staycation, stay in some of our hotels. Our hotels are open and they would love to have you during this time, your families. Get away for a little bit if you can do that. And in the future, I think things like encourage the companies you work for. If you hold meetings, keep your meetings here in the future. Don't take them out of town. Make sure your business meetings, your corporate meetings, your retreats and things are happening here. And I think the other thing is invite your family and friends when things open up. Bring people here, bring your friends here. Let's get visitors here, their money in our economy. We want to get businesses back and we want to get people back to work.
So when the time is right, are our facilities ready for safe meetings and events?
Yes, we have an exceptional community of smart partners who have installed special equipment, reached great accreditations. Monona Terrace has received its GBAC, which is a global biodiversity defense program for safety. Lion Energy Center, I know, is applying for it. And our hotels have very high standards. All of the hotel brands have very high safety standards. And many of the restaurants have also invested money and time into making sure things are safe. So people can feel, as soon as people feel safe, this is a safe place to come. The other thing I will say about our community, we've taken the pandemic very seriously. We are a community. When people come here, they see us all in masks. It's not a community where there's a question about, should we or shouldn't we? We do. We take this seriously. And so that's going to set us up. It sets us up well now, and it will set us well in the future. And this place will be ready.
Okay. What are you most looking forward to in your retirement, Deb?
The one thing I will like is not having to make a lot of decisions every day. I look forward to I look forward to taking time for things like reading, which I just don't take a lot of time for now. I'm a real outdoors person. There are some outdoors. I'd like to learn how to start horseback riding. And people close to me know that we have a new grandbaby, and she is sort of the center of my universe right now. And well, she doesn't live here. She's only 4 hours away. I have a lot of things that I'll be looking forward to, but I will miss the people of this industry the most.
How has the Madison Room Tax Commission responded to the sharp decline in hospitality revenue?
The Room Tax Commission, which is appointed by the mayor, that's part of a state statute that was passed a few years ago in the legislature, has really done an extraordinary job. It's a hard job. When you look at, I think in 2019, the city of Madison has the Room Tax Commission. I believe collections in 2019 were somewhere around over almost $19 million. This year, it may be $6 or $7 million. And there are several entities that Room Tax is distributed to. Monona Terrace, our organization, Overture, the zoo, Olbert Gardens, and the city is by state statute allowed to keep 30%. So the pie is very small compared to what it's been, and they have been very thoughtful about how to distribute the dollars. And I will say that they have been very supportive of our work and recognize how important it is to get us through the pandemic and to be ready to ramp up when the pandemic is starting to taper down, because we will want to ramp up very quickly. So I want to thank them because they have been very thoughtful and very supportive.
By when is it critical Monona Terrace be expanded, and by when do we need to expand and renovate Alliant Energy before it is too late?
I'll take the Monona Terrace question first. So the Monona Terrace expansion, that is a very complex question because of the design of the building and the integrity of the building. So I think a lot of us who think about this really see that expansion possibility dovetailing with the conversation about the Nolan waterfront and what can happen with some of the incredible ideas and designs that have been set forth for that entire area of Law Park and cantilevering over John Nolan Drive and onto Wilson Street. I would say that is several years in the future, but I think it's absolutely something that I hope, and I'm going to stay in this community, that we keep talking about, because that is an incredible opportunity for us. And the expansion will require, if there's an expansion of Monona Terrace, as with the Alliant Energy Center, additional hotel rooms are needed in their vicinity so we can build that critical mass of destination event venue space. Regarding the Alliant Energy Center, I think that the county is very aware, critically aware, that there are, deferred maintenance things that need to be taken care of at the Alliant Energy Center to keep it being a great facility. The pavilions that came on board a few years ago, they have afforded so many new opportunities, like CrossFit and World Dairy, working in spaces that are safe for their animals. But the idea of public-private development on the campus is ripe for opportunities, and all the area around it, those of us involved in the conversations are calling that the destination district. The campus is 150, 160 acres, and it's surrounded by, from the lake to Park Street, it's about a 400 to 500 acre area, so close to our downtown. There are many opportunities. I do think the future of the Alliant Energy Center, that is the biggest opportunity we have in front of us right now, the district and the Alliant Energy Center. And when the economy recovers, I really am hopeful. The county executive understands the value that the Alliant Energy Center can bring to our community. It's a huge economic driver now. Just think what it could be, particularly for that part of our city that we all want to lift. We want to help South Madison. The Madison College campus in South Madison has already done a lot. But that Alliant Energy Center campus and everything around it, it could be the next big thing after such as the Cap East District and what it's done to clean up that side of our city.
How can the state and federal government support Destination Madison's work for the hospitality industry?
Well, when we talk about the next potential CARES Act, we are hoping that 501c6 organizations like ours will be included. They have not been. I will applaud Secretary of Tourism Sarah Meany and the governor for the recent travel grants they made available that have helped lift all the organizations like ours around the state that have been unable to access any dollars. But if Congress passes the CARES Act and includes organizations like ours, we will be able to be rebuilding our staff and expanding our programs, because there will come a time when we are ready to launch campaigns to bring people here, and we want to be ready for that. And the other part of that is our work will help catapult the hotel industry, the restaurant industry, and all the people that are out of work or furloughed in those industries. When we, as I said before, when we start bringing visitors back, that's when the money starts coming back into our community that we as residents don't generate. It's new money, and that's the money that we need and want in our community.
Okay, this is going to be the last question that we have time for today, so we thank you. And the last question is, Madison-area nonprofits are an important part of the business community. What can nonprofits do to have an increasingly important seat at the table?
Oh, interesting question. The not-for-profits, I mean, I know the Madison Community Foundation tracks how many there are in this community. I believe that it's one of the highest per capita not-for-profits communities in the country. We have so many valuable not-for-profits, whether they're social agencies, whether they are environmental agencies. To have a seat at the table, I think that the leaders of not-for-profits raise your hands and let us know that you want to be. You're also busy. I think one of the hard things for not-for-profits is they are typically, they're typically always sort of not struggling, but challenged in terms of their own resources and their abilities to go beyond their own work. And if you want to be involved in the community, let us know, because we are eager. We're a not-for-profit too. We're eager to play a role in decisions in this community as other not-for-profits are. We want a seat at the table, and we welcome other seats on the table. We recently added Sandy Morales from Big Brothers Big Sisters to our board. We want to work with other not-for-profits, and we want the companies in our community and government leaders to invite not-for-profits to the table.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's program as much as I did. I want to thank Deb for working so well with us on this virtual icons experience and agreeing to speak to the Madison business community one last time before she heads off into her well-deserved retirement. I said it earlier today, but I'll say it again. Just an amazing career, and I can tell you that her leadership and her vision will definitely be missed throughout this region. But we wish you all the best in your retirement. I also want to extend our sincerest appreciation to the sponsors of this year's program. Our presenting sponsor again is WPS Health Solutions, as well as our premier sponsors, Action Coach, Baker Tilly, and the Madison Concourse Hotel. Thank you all for your flexibility and working with us as we were forced to adapt a bit this year with this virtual program. And a huge thank you to all of you for tuning in here today and attending this virtual installment of the Icons in Business series. We have our fourth and final Icons event scheduled for next month. Our Icons speaker will be Sarah Rasmussen, Chief Customer Officer for Land's End, and the date for this virtual event will be Thursday, December 10th. Registration will once again be free and is open right now at ibmadison.com/icons. We'll look forward to hopefully seeing you all back with us then, and until then, we hope you stay healthy and well. Thank you.